Hello everyone, my name is Abdullah Hassan. I study accounting and finance at King's College London. So, just to start with a little bit about myself, I studied maths, chemistry, and physics at A level. Um, Location-wise, I'm from London, but I am ethnically from Somalia. So, I'm from a little port city somewhere near the Horn, if you can see it. Um, it's probably colder there than here, to be honest. But so I studied chemical engineering before I transferred to study accounting and finance with a year in industry. And my interests are writing. I'll write anything, fiction, non-fiction, blogs. And I love to travel as well. So you can see me on a camel in Morocco. So that's me. And I'll start off talking about how I find studying accounting and finance to be like. So as a broad overview, it's a much more holistic blend of subjects and studies. So it's not pure accounting modules. Neither is it purely focused on maths or even economics. It's a blend of all. So, for example, you got your financial reporting. So that's external accounting standards for financial boards and as well as management accounting. So that's internal. So that's stuff like budgets that you can give to your managers or profit margins to be able to tell if a company is viable. And you also have other modules like corporate finance, capital markets. So both of those are just more of a wider view on society and the economy and markets. And of course, you have your maths. So the maths that I done, there was a heavy focus on statistics as well as your differentiation, integration, that sort of stuff. So as a whole, they do contain interdisciplinary modules. And you also have programming, economics, organizational behavior. So it's never too boring. There's always something new each term. Um, so for my first year, well, in terms of module options, first year, you do not get to choose. So it's more like a foundational module list. So just to get everyone up to the same standard. Um, but in second and third year, like Tiwa said, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of other degrees, you get to choose more modules. So I recently chose my second year modules. So there were four out of eight. So that's over half, about half that I got to choose. And this is even more in third year. So you get to choose six out of eight in third year. So in a sense, you're able to sort of build the degree that you want. So I know that with the list that I saw, some people they might want to focus on econometrics. So that's more going into private equity or investment banking. And there's other modules like asset management or tax, auditing, insurance. So there's a wide range for people that want to niche down into a particular career within the finance sector. So on the right, you can see that's the KBS, the King's Business School. And below that, those are some of the modules that I've done this year, like I mentioned. Okay, so I'll move on from that. So it's probably a bit more important for you guys, structuring your statement. So I do understand that you guys have a new structure for your personal statement, and it's split into three. I think, like Fozia said, it's just to get everybody on the sort of same playing field, because I know that it's not really intuitive beforehand. The old structure wasn't really that specific on what it required, but now it allows everybody to sort of filter what they've done, their interests in the subject through these questions. So you want to have a read, there they are. I'm sure you've seen it. So, like Fuzzy did say, it just gives your essay a structure, but it does not change what you need to do. And these are some of my tips that I had when I done my UCAS. So, because I done UCAS twice, so when I transferred, I switched universities. So I had to do it twice, so I have a bit more experience than most people. Um, so I have it flow like a story or a blog. And the reason why you want this is that it makes it a lot more digestible. You do not want to sort of just list your experiences. You don't want to tell people your interests. You'd rather show it through listening experiences and sort of weaving them together. Um, and another thing would be, I understand that probably for you or for a lot of people, the hardest part is to start, because it's this big unknown thing. So the best thing that I would recommend for you to do right as you're beginning, just so that you don't sort of waste time in a sense or procrastinate it, just write down everything that you could talk about. So all your experiences that you've done in the past 1 or 2 years, your interests, the stuff that you've read, the stuff that you've interacted with, and then just like I said, filter it through these topics, assign them, and just have a rough draft of how you want it to look like. And then you'll be able to refine it, um, get feedback, that sort of thing. Also, you want to treat this as a sales pitch, maybe not too much of a sales pitch. You should never mention the words like I or I want or anything like that, but you just have to keep in mind that there's a person reading this. There's an admissions officer whose job is to read personal statements. So in the with the idea of trying to stand out, I think it would be better for you to just keep the person in mind whilst you're writing, just to make it a bit more easier on their end to make a decision on whether to admit you or not. And also, finally, you want to get as many unbiased perspectives as you can. Um, your personal statement should never be something that you write, you fact check, and you sort of check for spellings and that sort of stuff, and you just submit it. You should always have somebody read through it. So, for example, your school will likely have a UCAS, a teacher, or even a UCAS person that you can go to, counselor or whatnot, to ask for feedback, ask for advice. And with that in mind, you will have many drafts. I know that I went through maybe each week, I was going back to the teacher and she was reading through it and she was very meticulous about it. Why use this word instead of that word? What does this mean? And I think having another person's perspective allows you to sort of, it gives a third point of view, just so that you don't, in the case that you're writing and it might be easier, some people, their writing style, it makes sense to them, they might not to other people. And I think a third perspective would let you see that. So that's all for structuring it. And in the case of what I did, so these are just the broad subjects that you might want to talk about. So any readings that you might have done, any experiences that you might have had, and any programs that you might be on. So with the reading, I read a few books, but I chose The Psychology of Money. It's just a book about the topic psychology of money, the sort of mindset of the markets throughout the past 100 years, the mindsets of investors through recessions and periods of growth. So a book allows you to mention and build on topics that you might find interesting in a natural way. So rather than just list saying that I find the topic of asset management or investment banking to be interesting, you're able to sort of reference a book and then that shows that you're interested in it rather than you just telling them. And this is not just for reading. So you could have a module that you've done online or a more academic book that you've read. So those are the examples. And also what you read does not matter, but what you learn does. So you have to be able to articulate the insights that you gained and be able to word how you engaged with it. And for the programs that I done, I completed University Genius. and migrant leaders. I'll touch upon University Genius, the story behind that uh, later on. There's an interesting story about how I joined. But I was also part of migrant leaders, and you are here too. Experiences that I done. So because I had the unique situation of applying to UCAS twice, a lot of my experiences were they had engineering in mind. So when I done the National Grid work experience, when I done a Imperial College London like STEM entrepreneurship incubator, but I still listed them when I was applying for accounting and finance. So my advice would be that they do not have to relate directly. Transferable skills and experiences can be included in your personal statement. So do not be afraid if you're studying medicine, but you had a change of not that if you want to study medicine, but you now change your mind. Do not be worried about, the not being able to talk about the experiences that you've had before. Yeah, and honestly, one of the bigger tips I would have is to apply early. I know that whether you're applying for medicine or you're applying for Oxbridge or not, there will be other students in your year applying for medicine or Oxbridge, and I understand that they have to apply early. So I think it's the 14th of October, if I remember. So whether you're applying for that or not, just sort of reach out to your head of year, reach out to your counselor, and sort of speak to them about the timeline that you have when you want to submit it. Because I know that a lot of schools they do mock exams in November. So I think the earlier that you submit it, the better. And of course, do not rush, but the earlier, the better. And it will be a weight off your shoulders. Um, and you'll be able to have time to study for your exams and whatnot. Because whilst the personal statement is important, at the end of the day, it's your grades that are going to get you into university. And yeah, do not forget to put emphasis on that. So moving on, here are some key takeaways. Have your statement reviewed and ask for feedback regularly. Like I said, a third perspective is always going to be it's going to be worth like 100 times more than you rereading or anything like that. If you're worried about starting, just list everything that you could talk about and go from there. Um, like I said, a lot of people worry about starting. That's sort of the biggest hurdle for a lot of students, and they spend a lot of time sort of imagining a personal statement rather than just starting. So, like I said, just list everything, apply as early as you can. That will be that would be probably the best option for you. Because these universities they do not wait to reach a number of applications before they start giving out offers. If application is really good, even in October, they're known to give out offers, and that just means the competition's a bit more higher if you were to apply later. Connect with your network for further opportunities. So the reason why I say that is a lot of with the program that I was on University Genius, the only reason that I was able to participate in that or even knew about it was because I reached out to a program lead that was a lead of a program that I'd done in year 10. And she told me about this program and I applied for it. I was very grateful for that. And that ended up me being the only student from North London out of the entire cohort because everybody else was from South. And that was the main demographic area for the program. So I mean to say that as in, do not be afraid to reach out. I know that you have a lot of time before September, October, right now with your summer. So you can reach out and perhaps do something if you're lacking in any experiences for your personal statement. And for accounting and finance, look into finance related online courses from Udemy, Coursera, such as corporate finance. And the same also applies for any other degrees. So perhaps computer science, there's always a Python or a Java course to do, or GitHub. Um, And the same for other any other degrees. There's always something on the internet, and it will give you a lot to talk about. And from the perspective of the academic reviewing your statement, it speaks a lot that you're willing to do a lot of outside learning and get yourself certificated, get a certificate in an online course. That's me for now. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat and then I'll have a look through. Also, feel free to connect on LinkedIn. That's my full name at KCL. You'll find the profile. And yeah, I'll pass it back to Fozia.
Thanks very much, Abdullahi. That was a really interesting presentation, and you gave some really helpful examples there on items that people can include in their personal statements. And actually, one thing you and I do have in common is that we both had to apply UCAS twice. I actually dropped out of an accountancy and finance degree. I ended up doing my social policy degree, but we're talking 40 years ago now, so a long, long time ago. Can I get you to stop sharing your screen, Abdullahi?
Yeah.
And there was a question specifically for you about why you switched from chemical engineering. Don't know if you want to cover that now or very briefly, entirely up to you. And then there's another one about what kind of careers are people going into from accountancy and finance.
Yep. So Anne Maria, if I've pronounced that correctly. Thank you for your question. So you asked me why did I switch from chemical engineering? I think as I from when I decided to do chemical engineering and from when I went to study, there was a quite large gap in time, and I feel like I changed as a person. So when I did go on to study it, I didn't find it the most engaging or the most applicable to sort of what I wanted out of life. Um, so I sort of looked at my options available to me with my A levels and whatnot, and I pivoted into finance. And so I just applied for accounting and finance. But I also knew with my chemical engineering degree that I wanted to get into finance at the end, anyways. So I thought to myself, I might as well just switch courses and save myself the long engineering degree just to end up in finance at the end. So yeah. You also had another question. What type of careers help people? Yeah, so I'll answer the first part. Yep, so what you said is correct. It's more the broader finance roles. Um, because on my course and from the people that graduated before me, there's a wide range, honestly. Like you said, investment banking, consulting, private equity, mergers and acquisitions. Um, I think there's a role for everyone in accounting and finance. It's not so much as a pipeline, but it's more like a just a broader introduction to the financial sector. Because, like I was mentioning with the modules, you're sort of offered so many to do. Because I know, and I'll touch on your second part. You said that over straight economics. So with straight economics, there's a much more focus on econometrics, maths, economics, and that sort of leads into more investment banking or private equity or data analytics or even quant trading. So that's probably why I just want to keep my options open. So yeah, keep that in mind if you are applying for finance.
Great, Abdullahi. Thank you very much. Really helpful responses as well from you.